10 Easter eggs you may have missed in Red Dead Online. Even the most sharp-eyed Red Dead Redemption players might have missed these great Easter eggs and subtle references at first pass. A tiny church in the swamp. I covered this church and location briefly in my Points of Interest playlist found in the description. When traveling through Bayou Nwa, players most likely will not ride off the road. Alligators will be found hiding out in the grass and in the swamp waters. This is enough to make anybody avoid the swamps. However, brave players can find something unexpected. Right outside of Saint Denis, players can find a miniature church. It is a little ways off the road, close to where Lakay is. Players can venture into the church by crouching through the front door. Aside from being an interesting location, the church also makes a good backdrop for posse photos. Fun facts: shooting the church bell loses honor, and the second Landmarks of Riches map can be found on the roof of the tiny church. You can find Red Harlow's house. Between the locations of Armadillo and Riley's Charge in New Austin, players can find an abandoned farm called Two Crows. It might not seem like anything special, but it will look familiar to anyone who played Red Dead Revolver. Two Crows takes on a look similar to Red Harlow's original home. In the beginning of Red Dead Revolver, the house is burned down and Red's parents are killed. There is even a grave near the main house. The story of Revolver is regarded as a legend in the Redemption world, but maybe this area is what started the legend. Bounty Hunter's name is Clint Eastwood reference. When players first get introduced to the bounty hunting role, a woman will ride into the sheriff's office with a wagon. She will reveal she is a bounty hunter and ask the player if they want to join the profession. She will then give the rundown of how the role works and what players need to do. Players might notice that they never get to know her real name. Instead, she is only referred to as the woman with no name in the credits. This is also the name of Clint Eastwood's character in the Dollars trilogy, with Eastwood's character being called the man with no name. There's also another reference to this Easter egg. It's a grave reference. Much like the last reference, this one also refers to Clint Eastwood's character. Located to the right of the church, there is a grave that only says Cowboy. Underneath the name is also the title Cowboy of No Name. The mysterious cowboy also died in 1897, 1 year before Red Dead Online. Perhaps the man with no name made his way to Armadillo. Serial Killer Secret Navy Revolver. Players are able to obtain the revolver of the serial killer Edmund Lowry. The revolver looks like it is covered in blood and has "You're Next" written on the barrel. To unlock this revolver, the player will need to solve a mystery in Grand Theft Auto Online. I've not yet made a video on this, but there's plenty of them on YouTube. Just YouTube search Secret Navy Revolver. Madame Nazar makes predictions. When players join the collector's role, they will be introduced to Madame Nazar. When near her cavern, she will make references to events of Red Dead 2. These are predictions, as Red Dead Online is set in 1898 and Red Dead 2 is set in 1899. She can make references to events of the story or references to areas in the game. Madame Nazar even makes references to the Vanderland gang coming into the region. She also makes a reference to the bridge John Marston and Arthur Morgan blow up near the end of the game. She even mentions speaking to the ghosts in the swamps of Lemoyne. Crashed airship near Armadillo. This area is also covered in my Points of Interest YouTube playlist found in the description. A crashed airship can be found in the desert of New Austin. Located to the north of the Odd Fellows Rest Cemetery is an airship with a reference to the first Red Dead Redemption. A name can be found on the tail of the ship, Charles Kinnear. Charles Kinnear is a minor character and stranger featured in Red Dead Redemption, and is mentioned in Red Dead Redemption 2. He initiates the stranger's side mission, Daedalus' Son. Kinnear is a scientist with an interest in the flight of birds and replicating it as a human. Players can locate him in Mexico near Roca de Madera with an incomplete glider. Kinnear had come to this location for testing the glider but needed some more parts to complete it. He requires 5 beaver furs, 20 bird feathers, 12 in the Game of the Year edition, and 10 red sage. Upon fetching the materials for the glider, Kinnear enthusiastically thanks Marston for his contributions. The player is instructed to return to the spot a few days later. The next time Marston meets Kinnear, he has completed his glider. Kinnear regales Marston with a short speech about the inborn ability of birds to fly, and the difficulty man has of replicating it. He gives Marston a final thumbs up, screaming, "Into the wild blue yonder, Marston!" before leaping off the cliff with a maniacal laugh, only to quickly discover his glider was not properly constructed. After a final isolated gasp, Kinnear plummets toward the ground below and dies. The player can investigate the crashed glider at the bottom of the cliff. If first the player investigates the glider with the sniper rifle scope or binoculars, Kinnear's body can be visible near the glider. However, upon revisiting the site, Kinnear's body is in front of the glider. Bounty target has John Marston's face. Gene Finley is a legendary bounty target in Red Dead Online, but a closer look at his face might reveal someone familiar. Gene Finley will have the face of John Marston. Of course, facial hair can make it really hard to recognize someone's face. Despite sharing a face, Gene is different from John Marston. Gene was born to a wealthy family and led his own gang. Interestingly enough, however, Gene can be found at Shady Belle when being haunted by the online player. Ghost Buck appears. After players make it to level 5 in the Naturalist role, they can ask Harriet about vitalism studies. Players can then find herbs called Harrietum officinalis that can turn them into animals for a bit of time. The animals can range from bucks to little rabbits. Using these herbs on a campfire can give players a surprise. Throwing the herbs into the campfire will cause a ghost buck to appear. The player can only see the ghost buck by using their dead eye. The ghost buck will end up disappearing when players leave the camping area. Thank you for watching my content, and please subscribe for more Red Dead Redemption videos.